We're 230 miles from the nearest land, and the water is nearly 3 miles deep, which kind of spooks both of us as regards swimming here. I haven't been in yet, and Barb's crapping herself because of the sea monsters that might be down there. Go on, you'll be alright. It's pretty freaky knowing the water is so deep though, but good way to keep clean. This water is just, it's like being on a mill pond. Stop complaining. I think it's, if anything happened to you, B, and you kind of floated away from the boat, I would have legal salvage rights to this boat. So, you know, if you let go and you can't swim back to the boat, I guess the boat's mine.
Wait, something's gonna bite my legs off.
Could be a giant squid down there. Very, very calm. We've been here ages now, going nowhere, there's no wind. This beautifully inviting water, it's deep blue, temperature's wonderful, it's clean.
Deep is the word.
But it's just the thought of what might be lurking down there kind of freaks both of us out. Not as if we're chicken or anything. Go on then, get in. Now this is a unique sight. This is my friend Rhonda cooking for a man. This is my
cooking for her man. You're fucking
my bent and twisted friend here, who hates men. He's just cooking for one.
Yeah.
Thankfully it's me, so I'm not complaining. On a plane from Toronto to Miami, and from Miami I will take a connecting flight to St George's in the Exumas, or actually on the island of Exuma in the Bahamas at Miami International Airport. There's not even any TVs on this plane. It's really basic. Paid pretty good money to get down here as well.
Which operate the exit. All electronic devices,
6 minutes, I think. Well, it's pretty warm, very humid. It said it was 86 degrees down here.
Is it 12:30?
I didn't know what time it was until I got to Miami. I didn't know. We're getting into trouble. I'll see you later.
Did you have a view from the plane?
Yeah, I got a window seat all the way.
Nice view, huh?
All the way to Toronto, all the way down, all the way to there.
Yeah, I heard the view is really nice from the plane.
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah, I just got to, just landed at Exuma. Barb was there to meet me. She's been waiting about 4 hours, so she's not too happy, but I didn't know what time I was supposed to come in. And this chap is taking us into town in his taxi. Well, we just got a taxi into town, and Barb has a dinghy down here, so we're just going to go to the boat. I brought that big bag down for her from Toronto, and it turns out to be the wrong bag. So she's not too happy about that, but not my fault. This is the capital, Georgetown. Not the biggest city in the world. I'll show you what a donkey looks like. This is the boat, Eidos. Registered in Montreal, Canada. This is what it's like in the tropics. You tend to sweat a bit. Years of beer coming out. Barb taking a dip.
Warm. This is James going for a swim to look for a shackle.
I don't know where it is because the boat's been moving, you know.
Yeah. So we're hoping that he'll find it.
Why am I in the water? That's a chain going down to the anchor, which is what's holding us in position. We're anchored out here off Georgetown, Exuma, in the Bahamas. This is the anchorage. I got here yesterday. This is Barb's boat, Eidos, a 32-foot East Orient, Ted Brewer design. Nice little heavy-duty sailboat. That's St George's over there. And to get to town, what we do is jump in the dinghy, go under that little bridge thing, and just park up in the dinghy dock. Got some fuel yesterday for the outboard, for the dinghy, and we've just been ferrying some water and fuel for the boat. This thing here over the hatch is a windsock. When the wind's blowing, the boat always faces the wind. That's why you always see boats pointing the same way. The boat always goes straight into the wind. So the wind's coming from the front, always. Hatches that open and catch the air, and to catch excess air you put one of these windsock things up. It just funnels the air down inside, as do these things, which will be taken off when we go sailing in case they catch the water. And obviously all the hatches will be closed when we're sailing in case the waves break over the bow. There's Barb putting putting the bedding out. It gets a bit damp in these climates. We're in the tropics and it's pretty humid. You lay there sweating at night and things get a bit damp. Just airing the stuff out. It's a bit cloudy today. We've got a forecast of scattered showers, but steady winds. Always a steady breeze around here, apparently.
If I hang this up, it's going to get wet in the shower. It's going to rain.
Good thinking. It's going to be damp anyway, so. Cockpit down here. Nice big spacious cockpit, big enough to sleep in. That's the dink. 9-foot dink with a little outboard engine on. When we were in Mexico we had a dinghy half that size and we had to row it with little paddles, and we used to anchor a long way from where we wanted to go to land, and it used to take us hours to get there and back. So that's a nice bit of luxury, an outboard engine on the dink. We've got a spare water can there. We've got 60 gallons on board plus 5-gallon kind of emergency jerry can. Bit of extra fuel for the dink. All the blue stuff on this boat, all this canvas stuff is to protect the sail. That's the sail cover on the boom there, to stop the sail from deteriorating in the ultraviolet from the sun. And all the blue stuff at the back is to give us some protection, some shade from the sun. When we go sailing, all that blue stuff will come off and we'll look more like a proper sailboat instead of a Chinese laundry. Eh?
The Bahamian courtesy flag is falling apart. It means time to leave.
Yeah, when you go to a country you're supposed to fly what's called a courtesy flag, their flag. You're supposed to put it up on the right hand side there, or in nautical terms starboard I presume. Anyway, that thing's been there so long it's getting a bit frayed. As Barb says, time to go. So we're planning on leaving tomorrow, so we're just going to get a little bit more water. Somebody going to town here. I'm going to fill it with water and fuel a little bit more, maybe go to the shop, get a couple of beers and get a food. I flew down from Toronto yesterday where I did a bit of shopping the day before. I bought all sorts of stuff, sailing gear for me mainly, but I bought this collapsible jug. I thought you might be able to use it, and so we're filling every container we've got to make this passage to Bermuda, because it might, if things go awry, we might be floating around there for a couple of months. Hopefully we'll get there in about 10 days, but you never know, so we'll prepare for the worst. Barb's just washed up. She tends to do most of the stuff inside and I tend to do most of the stuff outside, so we make a pretty good team that way. I don't do much inside because as soon as I go down there I feel a bit queasy, so I stay outside. Barb's inside there closing the hatches because the like I said, the weather forecast is pretty bad. Well, it's not bad, but we're due for some rain, so I'm going to close all the hatches so we don't get wet inside when we're in town.
I'm putting sunscreen on, war paint, because he's lily white coming straight from England, so the sun is pretty powerful down here. I don't think I'll tell him about the bit on the nose.
We're just getting ready for a trip into town here. She's putting a laptop and money in the dry bag there. Sometimes the ride in the dinghy gets a bit wet and put it in the garbage bag. Take the rubbish into town and dump it. I do that on a daily basis. Fill the water thing there and fill the fuel tank. This might be our last trip into town, so we're going to try and get on the internet with her laptop. Locking up. There's not really a problem here with theft and stuff, but rain, yeah. But locking the boat up anyway. Make sure there's no temptation for anybody. Do you want me to hold that while you get in?
One time I forgot.
Yeah. Going to get the engine going? Or shall we just sit and float around the Caribbean for a month? Can you hold on to the side? I'll throw the gear in.
I need one of those orange cushions.
Right. Fuel. That little bung might need tightening up on that. The little bung, the air release thing. Agua. Laptop. Rubbish. And my rather posh camera case. Ziploc bag, because I'm a cheapskate. Shoes. See if I can get in without breaking my neck. And this is what the boat looks like as we're drifting away. Go on, be used to you. Yeah, do a circle. It's called Eidos. Very nice little boat. Trying to keep the salt water off this camera. Sometimes it gets a bit wet in the dinghy.
Don't want to get wet.
Spare anchor at the front there that we need to put below before we go sailing. Don't want that thing jumping around. That's the wind scoop there, pushing wind down into the main cabin. And there she is. We're just about to set off and do what, 4,000 mile maybe?
800 to Bermuda.
800 to Bermuda, and it's about 3,000 to Europe from there. A neighbour there working on his boat. That's the mail boat and supply boat from Nassau. Apparently you can get a ride from here in Georgetown to Nassau for about $50, which is quite expensive really. A dry run going into town because we're going with the wind. It's when we come back out that the wind blows the waves over the bow of the dinghy and then we all get wet. So I won't be filming that bit. Stormy looking sky. Are they just coming or going?
Leaving. They're
just leaving. Apparently a month ago there were 200 boats anchored in here, now there's less than 20. Sorry, not 200, 400. That's a lot of boats in this place. But hurricane season has started, so everybody's left, gone to safer places, and we'll be joining them soon. Looks like the tide's coming out, it's running through here. Motor's working hard, trying to push us through this gap. The water in this lagoon's all coming out because the tide's dropping. And this is a dinghy dock where we park up and then walk into town. There's also a hose pipe here where we can get some fresh water. It's a bit grotty and there's all sorts of things kind of floating around in it, but we're drinking it because we're too tight to buy bottled water really. And there's a gas station up there. Get some fuel before we leave. Go on then, let me film you climbing out in case you fall in. Church up there in St George's. There's a few around here. It's quite a... I don't know if the people are religious, but there's quite a few churches. It's not the most beautiful place in the world. I'm not quite sure why the Bahamas has this kind of reputation. When I flew in yesterday, most of the islands looked pretty barren and grotty actually. But they have a nice climate and the sea is very warm. I took a dip this morning to have a bit of a bath, and very, very pleasant. This is the telephone exchange in town. This is where we do the internet. Go stand in a little cubbyhole. Well, that one, eh?
It's cool in here.
This thing is like the size of a telephone box, and what we do is plug the computer into the telephone hole and try and get a connection.
He might know.
This is the main street in Georgetown, and believe it or not, this is actually rush hour, tea time. There's a school here. Hey? Rush hour, Georgetown. This is a picture of the anchorage from Georgetown, Exuma. And Eidos is... our little boat is that one there, with the blue covers on. With the big cat in the background. We're shooting off tomorrow. Just been at the bottle shop and got a couple of cold beers, and we'll have a gentle night tonight, and then it's Bermuda, here we come. Favourable weather forecast, and we're going to go for it. Look at that, window full of boxes of Guinness. That's a local bottle store. Beer shop. And this is where we go out with the dinghy. Tide's absolutely rushing in here. It's full moon tonight or tomorrow. Our little dinghy's over there, and we have to try and get through that little tunnel that's down under here.
Okay, this is James enjoying sundowners.
Guinness in the Bahamas. The British Bahamas sells good beer. This is not an American territory. This is a British territory. Yeah, go.
Okay, and we have some dinner, bread and hummus.
This is what I used to eat when I was 9 months old.
And we're just relaxing. This is the night before, or the evening before we leave for Bermuda.
And we're going to cross the Sargasso Sea, which is the only sea in the world that does not have a land border. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
It's also full of seaweed, and we can get caught up there and never get out. That's why the Bermuda Triangle is famous, because boats never leave.
But the weather report is 10 to 15 from the south, which is perfect for us. So we're hoping for excellent weather for the passage.
Budweiser, king of gnat's piss.
This is James filling up with diesel. We're ready to go, and James is closing the hatches so we don't have any leaks. Let's hope we have no leaks.
Quite a breeze now, it's blowing about 15 to 20, and we're just about to go. We've got the dinghy on the deck there. This is the first time Barb's had the dinghy on the deck. It used to travel on the back here. The back is a technical term for the rear of a boat. On these dinghy davits is what they're called. But they're not really up to the job, and when you're making a passage, when you're out on the ocean, it's not a safe way to go, because if you get following seas, it can rip the dinghy off. I know it's a bit windy and it's probably coming across on the camera. Anyway, this dinghy is very nice to travel around in when you're sitting in one place, but for an ocean crossing, it really is too big. It's taking a lot of room up. front sail is what's known as a roller furling sail. You just put on the sheets, the ropes, and it will unfurl. This is what's called a spacel, like a second front sail. And this is actually on a boom. Some are on a boom and some aren't. And I've never sailed with one of these before, but they're supposed to balance the boat up pretty good, so we'll no doubt try it. So, if Barb's ready to get the engine going, this is the start of our Atlantic crossing. So, with a bit of luck, we'll be in Portugal in 2 months. Seems a long way. Start the motor. The little diesel's fired up. Keep a little bit of smoke out. The exhaust is down there somewhere. And I'm going to go up front and pull the chain up by hand because I'm a real big strong guy. Macho man.
The God of the ocean, to please protect us because we are
What a waste of good rum. Jeez, I thought you were going to drink that. Over the side, I paid money for that. I thought you were going to drink it.
James pulling the anchor up, pulling the chain. It's really windy, so and the chain is pretty heavy. You can see him struggling.
I'm not struggling.
It's a lot of work. I'm glad he's here to do it.
Okay, we're now underway. We're not sailing yet, but we are moving. To get to the to get out of this bay, past the islands, we've got to follow this channel across this bay because most of it is incredibly shallow, low ground. Don't know if you can see the depth finder there. It's 7 feet, and we're drawing 4, so we've only got 3 feet under us, which is not a lot. But we're going to follow this bit of a deep channel, you can just see it there, to the other side and then kind of go right down there and then through a couple of islands, and we should clear landfall by the time it gets dark this evening. Anyway, we're off.
This is James trying to cover up from the heat, from the sun. It's a very strong sun, so we're trying to keep in the shade or else cover up.
Got my Borges hat on here.
Yes. Lawrence of Arabia hat.
Yeah. Just got to be a little bit careful leaving here. We've got the chart down there that we're following and GPS points. You can see that dark spot there next to us. That's a reef. And that light spot over there, that's a reef. They're within 100 yards of us. There's bits of reef sticking out all over. The whole of the Caribbean is like that, actually. It's pretty dodgy sailing, and most boats that come here need to be shallow draft, less than 4 feet. So there's a lot of catamarans here because of how shallow it is, because multi-hulls don't draw much depth. Anyway, we're doing 4 knots. We've got 18 feet below us, and steady wind, 15 knots so far, which is pretty good. But once we get out that entrance there, we'll be hanging a left, and we should be able to pull the sail up and turn the engine off and start sailing. That'll be good. Barb just raising the main. We had the second reef in there because it was quite windy, but the wind's just eased off big time. In fact, it's down to 6 knots now, so... It's supposed to be windy for the next few days, dying off in about 3 days' time, so this is a bit of a disappointment. Raining.
It's raining. We have a squall, and
Our
James.
first little squall. Well, the flying start we thought we had has slowed down a bit. The sails are flapping with no wind at all. We've been bounced around for about an hour. We're supposed to be in the trade winds, but and trade winds are supposed to be constant and consistent. Before we set off, Barb took a couple of seasickness pills and she's feeling a bit drowsy and knocked out, so I didn't bother. It's me that gets seasick, not her, and she took the pill. Anyway. Yep. Just bouncing around listening to the sails flap at the moment, waiting for some wind.
We have wonderful wind. We're doing about 7 knots. Sails are full. Going down. And there's the skipper in all his glory.
Alright. Yeah, it's been a bit of a frustrating first afternoon. We had no wind, and now actually the wind is from the wrong direction. The wind is coming from exactly where we want to go. So even though we're making good speed and it's good sailing, we're not actually going in the right direction. And there's an island about 20 miles in front of us, so we're going to have to tack and go on the other side of the wind just to get around the island, which is a waste of a few hours. But at least we've set off. Nice evening, it's been a lovely afternoon. And it's going to be a long night. Set out here steering. Sun's gone down, we're just waiting for the wind to come up because it's full tonight. I'll show you what we've got at the back here. We're trailing a bit of rope at the back with a little empty plastic bottle thing. It's just in case one of us falls over. We haven't much chance of grabbing a line, but it's better than nothing. Because if you go overboard from a yacht, there's a good chance you'll never be found again. So we're just trailing the rope behind, so just to give us a chance to maybe grab something connected to the boat. But if you fall over, hit the water, you're going to get disorientated, and by the time you figure out where you're supposed to go, the boat will have gone anyway. So.
Alright, this is the morning of the second day, and we have 16 to 17 knots of wind. James rigged up a bungee cord to the steering wheel so we don't have to steer, and the boat is holding its course.
We've got the sails all nicely balanced, so there's no pull on the rudder. The bungee just keeps bringing it back into line when the wind takes it. Very simple. And this bungee is about $1. When we get to Bermuda, there's going to be a wind vane there that Barb ordered for what, $4,000?
To do the same job.
To do the same job, but probably a bit better.
We'll see.
I'll show you the view of the front. Don't turn it off. It's not rough. We're doing about 6 knots, which is pretty good. We've just been in contact on the radio with that vessel out there. It's a tug towing a barge. Anyway, he's going round us. He's going quicker than us. But first people we've seen so far since we left the Bahamas.
I saw another ship.
Oh dear.
Earlier, a big container ship.
All right. with us. Look at this blue sea. This is a very, very blue ocean. Surfing the waves, coming back. And how many miles have we done? About 80. About 80 on our first 24 run.
And James hasn't slept yet.
And I haven't slept yet, and I can't sleep. I'm tired as hell, but I can't sleep. And I've done something to my right arm, and I can't move that. Apart from that, things are good. This sea is incredibly blue. But yeah, at least we made 80 miles to the good, towards where we're supposed to be going. It hasn't all been good sailing, but it's not bad now. The swells are quite big and smooth, so the motion's better. Yesterday afternoon and last night there were short choppy waves and we were humping up and down quite a bit. Not being bad the boat.
James getting a wash down. We're in the tropics and it's pretty hot and sweaty, and you know how it is sometimes when... Perfect. Much better. The water's a little cool, is it, James?
Yeah. Just the usual bouncing around at sea. It's not particularly bad. Barb's cooking some... I'm not quite sure what it is.
Mush.
Mush. Came out of a can anyway. And we've got some rice out there. She's not too bad inside. She cooks and stuff pretty good. I can't do anything. As soon as I come down here I feel sick, so I spend most of my time outside. Unless I'm keeping, which is good, because that means she cooks. Which she does very well. But it gets pretty hot and sweaty down here. All the hatches are closed, obviously, trying to keep the sea out, and there's no air, and we can't open the hatches because the water's splashing over the decks. So it gets really stuffy down here. Plus we're in the tropics, so it's pretty sweaty to start with. Anyway.
Except I've got my sweatshirt on because it's cold outside.
Yeah, she's moaning again. Anyway, I've got to go outside. I'm starting to feel a bit queasy. It's not particularly rough at the moment, but we're cranked over about 30 degrees. Barb's chopping a few thingamajigs for breakfast. Makes everything difficult. Barb's covered in bruises because, you know, you climb down these stairs and you're banging into stuff, and trying to get around the cockpit's not easy. The hardest thing is going to the bog. I normally take a leak off the side, holding onto the shrouds. But if you've got to sit down, you've got to go in there, leaning over and bouncing up and down. You can see the porthole there. This is... You can't really see how much it's bouncing because I'm holding the camera, but believe me, pretty uncomfortable when you sat down there. This thing just pumps straight through a pipe. It's pretty dark. Just that thing pumps straight, goes through a pipe, through the hull and into the sea. The problem is when we're scooting along like this, we're doing about 5 or 6 knots at the moment. It doesn't want to pump out. The seawater wants to pump the stuff back in, so we have a couple of messy accidents with the bog. Looking on the boat. Doesn't want to focus too good. That hole in there is what's called a quarter berth. And that's where we sleep when we want to get some rest when we're on a passage. Because it's a bit like a coffin in there. You get in there and you can't move. It doesn't matter where the boat heels and bounces to, you're pretty well locked in. Whereas if you sleep on this settee pulls out into a double bed, you roll around all over. And on this side, it's possible to sleep on this side. We just pull this cloth out and lift it up and tie it up to here, and it kind of keeps you in, stops you from falling out. Whoa! And this bit up front, this is where you'd sleep. It's what's known as a V-berth, V-shaped into the bow bed. It's become a garage at the moment. We've got surplus gear in there. There's no point in sleeping in there because the front of the boat bounces up and down a lot, and you've nothing to hold you in place, so you just roll around like a pea on a drum. So we don't use that. We use that quarter berth. And one of us is always outside steering and keeping a watch for shipping. We've seen quite a few big freighters this last couple of days, one of which nearly ran us down from behind. We had to use a spotlight to alert him to our presence and get on the radio and shine a spotlight at him and then shine it on our sails so he could see us, and anyway he eventually turned course, so we're still here. Anyway, bit of an exciting moment. We've just taken some sailing because we were cranked over a bit too much, so we just took a bit out the jib, about 10 or 15%. We've got the second reef in the main. Let's see if I can show you the other side. We were leaning a bit too much. Barbara's down there trying to cook. Keep the camera out of the spray. I've had this camera about 6 years now, and this is the bubble wrap that it came in, so this is my high-tech camera bag, and then we just put it in a Ziploc. I was a bit too tight to buy a proper camera bag for it when I bought the camera. The camera was expensive, and so were the bags, so I thought, bugger that. So that's what it lives in. We've just had lunch on, we're on the third day. We've just done, in the last 24 hours we did 112 miles, which is good. If we can do a 100 mile an hour day, a 100 mile day, we're very pleased with it. When I came from England to join this boat in the Bahamas, I brought a few things with me, some treats. I brought some flavoured bread mixes. This is cheese and onion, and Barb just made that this morning. It's delicious. We just had bread and milk for lunch. I brought some tomato and parmesan flavoured bread. I brought half a dozen breads, and what else did I bring? Half a dozen packets of raisins and stuff. And also a packet of sweets. I have a very sweet tooth and I love these things. Anyway, this is all that's left. We've been pigging on them, or at least I've been pigging on them on the way over. We've got the good old traditional sweets here. We've got torpedoes, aniseed balls, little midget gems. The good old British sweets, you can't beat them. Anyway, that's our lunch, and it's delicious. We've just been playing with the sails, trying to get them all balanced up because the wind's fallen off like 20 or 30 degrees, so we have to adjust the sails to compensate and to keep our position. Compensate really 60, 65, and we want 60, so we're pretty fortunate with the wind so far. Seas are fairly flat. Not going straight into them anymore. We're not as close hauled into the wind, so the boat's a little bit more upright and the ride's a little bit better. Well, we've got a bit of a lull in the weather. Barb's just going round and checking the shackles and the anchor and dinghy and make sure everything's okay. Pretty flat seas at the moment. Another ship on the horizon over there. Got to keep an eye on these buggers. We've got a few leaks on the boat, but that's to be expected. This is the end of day 3. We've had a pretty good cruising day. The winds and the seas have been quite favourable. We're just watching the sunset. We're about 200 miles from the nearest land at the moment. So if we start sinking, it's a long way to swim. Just looking on the bright side. Charming.
Well, this is James fixing the autopilot, or adapting it, because it's interfering with our bungee cord steering. It's putting too much pressure on the wheel. So he's adapting it. And meanwhile, I'm cooking breakfast. And it's another gorgeous day out there. Not much wind. I think James is getting a little bit of a suntan.
We're just dismembering the autopilot here. We don't use it because it draws too much power. And we don't have a good charging system on the boat. One of the batteries is fried, so it's kind of interfering with the steering wheel. We have rigged up the bungee and the sails and everything to try and get it to steer a certain course into the wind, and this autopilot thing's, this plastic thing here, is interfering with the whole steering thing, so taking it apart and modifying it a little bit.
Okay, this is James doing the dishes. Well, he did not throw the dishes out. No, that's not how we do the dishes.
Bob does the cooking and I do the cleaning. Apparently.
Whoops. One of these days we'll lose the bucket.
We can't be wasting fresh water on this, so we use seawater. It should be pretty clean out here. Everything tastes a little bit salty, but it's fairly clean. And you don't need washing up liquid, because the seawater just takes all the grease off.
And there's all this stuff that's already done.
Well, we're on day 5, and we're not doing too bad. First day we did about 80 odd miles. Second day 112, third day 111. Anything over 100 is pretty good, we're happy with that. Yesterday was a bit finicky. The wind came and went and changed direction, and I don't think we'll make 100. But we'll wait till we get to noon, midday, because that's when we're timing it from, that's when we left. Anyway, Barb was just saying yesterday that if we get a flying fish on deck, she's going to cut it up and fry it up. See what they taste like. I wouldn't touch it, but she's a... Oh, there he is. Anyway, flying fish jumped on deck last night. I don't know how fresh he is. I told Barb about it, whether she's going to pick it up and eat it or not, I've no idea. It's not really worth doing. It's only, you know, it's only what, 3 or 4 inches long. Anyway. Little flying fish. We've got the canopy up here. It shouldn't really be up because the wind with it makes it flap around and it will eventually destroy it, but we need shelter. This is pretty extreme sun. We're just about halfway between Bahamas and Bermuda, and the sun is still quite intense. I got a little bit burnt yesterday, and that was before 8 o'clock in the morning when we put the shade up. Just to give you some idea how strong it is. Having said that, I was a typical lily white Englishman, so it didn't take a lot to do me. Pretty calm seas today. Nearest land is about 300 miles away, which is a pretty spooky thought to me because I'm scared to death of the bloody sea. and we haven't seen a ship for maybe 24 hours, so we're kind of by ourselves out here. Oh wow, massive. What a feed. You should eat it raw. Put a little fishy on the little dishy. Oh god. So you're gonna gut it and fry it and scale it and
cut the head and tail off and throw it in.
Is it still flexible, or is it solid, or what? How long's it been out there? It's not bending a lot, is it?
Yeah, it is.
Well, yeah. Well, you should be all right.
Here's the wings.
Yeah, let's have a look at the wings. That's how it flies. We see them as we're sailing along. They kind of come out and fly next to us. Not because they want to fly next to us. Something's chasing them, trying to eat them. That's why they come out and fly.
They like to be birds. This is evolution in progress.
This is evolution in progress. Yeah. Their grandfather was Mr. Darwin. Okay, enough of the fish. There's Barb cooking the fish. Is it worth the trouble? That's what I'm asking myself.
This is an experiment.
Is it?
I'm the guinea pig.
No, the fish is a guinea pig. That's the flying part of a flying fish.
Butter.
I'm going to be filming Barb in bed tomorrow, puking her guts up.
This is delicate. This is like flaky delicate. Not like sardines.
Talking of flaky.
It's really good.
Is it? Scales as well. A bit of fibre. This will give you a sensation when it's passing through.
And bones.
And bones, yeah. And there goes the flying fish. Gourmet food. The thing is, it catches itself. Irish fish. Another flying fish. Morning after the last one. It must be Japanese. Suicide fish. Is it stiff or what?
No, it's pretty flat. It's drier.
It's been there a while then.
Yeah. Well, not that. It's flexible. It's just.
I don't know why you'd fart around for half a mouthful of food, mucking pots and pans and cooking.
I know. It's like it's only because it's.
Look, well, that's a baby. They get way bigger than that.
Yeah, they do.
They get like 8 inches.